Right, so welcome back to another week of Premier League therapy. Me and Charlie are definitely going to need some therapy this week. John can't join us at the minute. He is stuck getting some fuel because of this fuel shortage that we're suffering here in the UK because of driver shortages, and so he's out trying to get his fuel in his car so we get to work him back this week. But I'm sure he's absolutely gutted he's not here, Charlie, because he'd be absolutely amazingly happy today because he'd be able to take the mickey out of me and you for dropping 2 points against Brentford while his beloved Everton went and got and beat Norwich. Well, so should we start with Liverpool, Charlie? Should we get
Well,
this?
the question is, if Everton win and John's not here to celebrate it, did they really win?
No, no, we can ignore that result this week, Charlie.
Now
Yeah,
he's driving faster, trying to get home faster.
yeah, he's having faster to get home, faster to get to the top and take the mick out of you. Yeah, so let's talk Liverpool yesterday, Charlie, because
Yeah,
I watched the game and we've just been talking about it offline there about, Trent Alexander-Arnold. He wasn't really at the races yesterday, was he?
I didn't think he was. I saw a lot of the times when we were in trouble defensively, it was because he hadn't come back to help out fast enough on his side, and it ended up bringing either Matip or Van Dijk over to the wing, and it was like they were then those are our two strongest guys, they're supposed to be in the middle.
Yeah,
And when Matip's out on the side, it's like that. Then you can see, okay, Arnold would jump in the middle to back him up because Matip's covering the guy with the ball, obviously, and Alexander Arnold is no Matip in front of the net, and you could see where the breakdown happened. I saw at least three times where Alexander Arnold not coming back fast enough or being out of position caused a major breakdown of the defense.
yeah, yeah. And what made that worse is Brentford's Tony up front. He's a big guy, strong guy, he's technically very good, and the last thing we needed yesterday was our two centre halves getting pulled out of that side because they needed to be in the middle to deal with him. I thought he caused all kinds of problems for us yesterday, Tony. I thought he had a really good game. I think with Trent, just sticking with Trent for a minute, with him, he is obviously a really good player, really accomplished at what he does. But once he has a bad game, that's it. His whole game is bad. His crossing wasn't great yesterday. His defensive duties wasn't great either. We just had one of them off days. But I thought Liverpool ground the result out yesterday, which was good. Don't forget this is a Brentford team that's basically this year's Leeds for me. So
Yes.
to go
I,
away and get that result, I'm happy with the draw. I'm not ecstatic about it. I thought we should have won yesterday, especially with United losing and Chelsea losing against City. I thought it was an opportunity missed to try and get a bit of gap between those two teams. But to be fair, I think Liverpool this year they look solid. They look like they're going to be really, really solid for us.
they,
Alonso will come in and welcome in Harrison as well. Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say Brentford. I am very, very impressed with them this year. Um, the way that they played us, which I am of the belief that mediocre to lesser teams always up their game when they choose when they play Liverpool for some reason. It's like they come in like the best they can ever be
oh yeah,
when they're playing us. So it ends up
yeah, and
they end up having a pretty good result. It's not like it's not like we stunk. It was a good game back and forth. It was like like Klopp's rock and roll football.
oh yeah,
I'd rather have those types of games than a 0-0 game.
yeah,
But
definitely. It
I'd
was an
also rather
enjoyable
us
game.
win.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely an enjoyable game. I enjoyed it. It was a good game, particularly the passion and the drive out to Brentford was really impressive. And like I said, I don't think I'm with you. I don't think Liverpool were bad. We were just up against a tough opposition, and that thing what you just said there about teams up in the game against us. But with one of the top teams in the league, so we've got to expect that. Particularly a team like Brentford. When Brentford got promoted Don't forget, they haven't been in the top league for like 70 odd years. This is the first time in over 70 years that they've been
I
in the
know.
top league. So when they're coming up against the likes of Liverpool, these are the games that they were dreaming about in pre-season. You know, when they got promoted, these are the ones that go, "Oh, we're going to have Liverpool coming to Brentford. We're going to have Manchester United, Arsenal, you know, and Chelsea and Man City all coming to the ground." And they're the games they're going to be up for. What I like about Brentford is they seem to be doing it against the teams in and around them as well, which is good. So I think they'll be all right. I think they'll. I don't think they'll go down. I think possibly push for the European place if they keep going the way they're going. I think.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping them. The way that they played against us, I was looking at their record. Okay, they beat Wolves. They tied Aston Villa, who Aston Villa like has been really good this year
They
so
have, yeah.
far. They lost to mighty Brighton, so Brighton took them out. But they did lose to Brighton, which means I'm not looking forward to tomorrow's game. I'm hoping if Brighton win, then we're gonna be second, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. You know, so to lose against Brighton, we both me and you have them in the relegation zones in our predictions as well, Charlie. And they're going to be
I know.
we could be
I
sat
know.
top of the league.
Well, I was under the impression that Brighton was no longer going to be. They were putting Lallana out to dry, and with my Liverpool skewed brain, I'm like, they're not going to do so good. But they've been doing all right, and then I had the same issue with Aston Villa losing the Low Sox guy.
Grealish.
Great.
Grealish, yeah.
But then Ings has been picking it up for them. So it's like,
There he has. I thought he played well against Manchester United yesterday, Villa. Only got to see the highlights. And if you look out the sky tonight, Charlie, you'll just see Bruno Fernandes's penalty kick orbiting the International Space Station as it's coming through. I mean, I looked at that and I looked at the penalty, and for me, I didn't think it was a penalty. I didn't think that was a penalty. He's come in, it's come off his head. The defender's moving to his side. He's got his arm by his side, and it just hits him. For me, it's one of the softest penalties you'll ever see in your life. But having said that,
unfortunately, there's a lot of penalties that get called penalties, and then others that don't get called. It's part of the game, but I never want to see Man United getting a penalty anyway. So
no, you and me both. You and me both. And this is another thing about this week's show. Why John's going to be missing it is because he picked up on me last week. Said 3 times on the trot you've praised Man United. Well, I'm going to absolutely slam them today because I know Villa's doing well, but if you're fighting for the title, you've got real aspirations of going for the title, to put in a performance like that against Aston Villa, that's not good. They're not going to be challenging the title for me, Charlie. They're not going to do it. This is why I don't have them in the top 4, although I could be wrong with that. But I don't see them going for the title because they're just inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent. And I thought, you got Villa. They're doing well. Danny Ings is doing well with them. And Mings is playing well as well. But for me, United were put to the sword at times by Villa yesterday. And I thought, this is not a team that'll be challenging for the title. I just don't. What's your thoughts on that? Because I just don't see it.
United,
Yeah.
I have them finishing in the top 4, but barely. And that was before I knew Ronaldo was going over there. Now, which brings me to the next question: with that penalty miss, and you having Cristiano on your team, does he now become the penalty taker?
Should he have not took that penalty to begin with, Charlie?
I know you have Solskjaer. I think he's. You can't go in. You can't bring in Ronaldo and say, "Okay, you're a captain of everything." He's not going to be respected. But I mean, as a player, the other players who have been on United's team, I could see how they could ruffle their feathers. All of a sudden, you bring Ronaldo in, and he's doing all the kicks, he's doing all this and that, and then you get ticked off, and then it creates a bad team chemistry. But when you're skying penalty kicks over the net, that's again like we were discussing before the thing. That's like what a 10-year-old does on the youth league. Not when you're getting paid tens of millions of dollars. You don't put it over the net.
No.
You can miss to the side maybe by 6 inches or whatever, but you don't put it over the net. That's just whatever. But I think they're going to be putting. Ronaldo's not going to be quiet. He's going to be up in his manager's face now, saying, "Listen, I'm here. Use me. He's the best player on the planet, supposedly. Some people, depending on whose team you're on, but it'd be foolish not to use him. In those situations, especially when they're costing him points, costing him games."
Yeah. Harrison's telling us that Pogba told Ronaldo not to take it because he knew that Ronaldo was going to score, so he give it to Bruno for a chance. And if that's the case, then that's not the reason why you don't take a penalty kick, especially when it's the last kick of the game. You're 1-0 down. You're wanting to fight for the title. You don't want to lose points, all 3 points at all. You get your best player to take that penalty. For me, Ronaldo's the best player to take that penalty in Manchester United shirt. I mean, look at what David Moyes done last week. He put his best penalty taker on the pitch from a sub. So that's, I know he got it wrong in the end, but your best players who takes your penalties, the best players to take the penalties should be taking those penalties no matter what.
Isn't that, I could be wrong here, but correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the penalty taker, isn't he already established from the manager saying, okay, this guy's our penalty taker? Whenever he's on the field, he's our penalty taker. Isn't that a thing?
Well, most managers will have that. You're my penalty taker, you're my second penalty taker, and stuff like that. You're going to take corners, you're doing throw-ins. It'd all be set up. It's not like they come to it and they make the decision at the time. It's set before they go into the game. So it'd be interesting to see who he had as his penalty taker, Charlie.
Yeah.
Was it Ronaldo? Was it Bruno? Because for one thing's for certain, whichever way it was the wrong thing, because you don't take a penalty like that. It'd have been a cracking field goal in the NFL, Charlie, but there was no way. I actually think it got out to Old Trafford, did it, not the ball? It was that high.
Well, did you happen to notice, thinking about, assigning free kicks and corners, did you notice that they switched Alexander-Arnold and Robertson now? They're doing the opposite side so that they're all, for Brentford game anyways, so they were in swinging from, it was like they were doing the opposites.
Yeah. So Sarah's saying she got points deducted for missing that penalty. Talk about the fantasy football league. I had another good week. I was up against John this week and I won. You're ahead of me, Charlie, by 1 point. I'm catching you up. Yeah, I'm catching you up.
Yeah, I usually fade in the season. I usually get lucky in the beginning, and then I'm like, I end in third.
Just does a nosedive on you. Yeah, let's just stick with the United game, though.
Okay.
That goal as well for Aston Villa. Now, I understand where Solskjaer brought it up in his interview at the end of the game. He said, it's offside. As he heads the ball, there's a Villa player and he's in front of the goalkeeper. He's actually stood in front of the goalkeeper, and he's also in an offside position.
Yeah.
So I'm with Solskjaer here. I think that should have been ruled offside, that goal. Because if he's there, he's impeding the view of the keeper.
Yes.
Stopping the keeper being able to do his job. He's stood in an offside position. It's offside. He's interfering with play. So he's offside. By the letter of the law, he's offside.
I agree. And I think we've been seeing more and more of, I don't know if it's the refs getting nervous or afraid to call stuff again, or and again, it's like they're supposed to be this season. They're supposed to be calling well, this wasn't one of the, this is a bad, not an example of what you're talking about, but they're supposed to wave off offsides right away if if it's an obvious offside, and they stopped doing that for the last week or whatever. So what happened? What's with the change of not calling obvious offsides anymore? You know, they were doing pretty good in the first 4 weeks, but
Yeah, I think
I'm
VAR's starting
scared
to
if they're getting
you know.
feedback or if they're going to the bars and getting yelled at again and getting chicken. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see. I was just going to bring up the VAR situation for that one, for the penalty that was given to United. I thought VAR got that wrong to say it was a penalty, because for me it wasn't a penalty. And the goal for Villa, it was offside. So VAR have not I've just said that that's fine. So for me, VAR has failed twice in that game. Give a penalty that's not a penalty, and give a goal that shouldn't have stood. Then you've got the thing you just brought up as well, where there's blatant offsides, and I don't know about you, but it is starting to irritate me slightly, because if someone is clearly 8 or 9 yards offside, why are you waiting? Why are you waiting to put your flag up? Why are you waiting to see if it goes in the back of the net? To put your flag up, knowing full well it's going to get ruled offside anyway. What if, and here's a big if, right? They carry on, he's 8, 9 yards off, and he carries on playing, and then something like what happened to Harvey Elliott happens to a player, or they get injured. Do you know what I mean? Someone gets injured. That could have been prevented by them just saying that it's offside. You're putting players at more undue risk that they need to be in. You know, it's fine that they're in risk while it's legally being played, while there's no need to stop it. But if you're letting them play longer and letting them go down the pitch when it's clearly offside, you're putting them at risk. You know, you're adding risk to the player. You know, that's what I'm thinking. It could be an injury that comes up further down the line. It's getting a little bit silly that they've gone. Yeah, like I say, in the first couple of weeks, they were picking these up. They were flagging them straight away. But
Yeah,
now you just stopped flagging them. It's like, well, if they had a brief, if they've been told to stop doing this, you know, so it's clearly 10 yards. It's fine. It's the tight decisions that you're looking for. That's what VAR should be getting involved in. It's the tight ones. It's like the one with Liverpool. Was it Liverpool? Salah, I think it was. Think it was Salah's goal. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was ruled offside by the linesman. But
yeah,
then VAR went back in and went, actually, no, it's tight. It's a good goal. You know,
yeah,
he's in. They're the type of offsides that you need to be looking at. You know,
yeah,
tight ones. Yeah, keep your flag down, dead flag it. But when it's 9, 10 yards offside, that's not tight.
yeah,
That's blatantly obvious that you're offside. Well, why are they doing it? It just doesn't make sense. We will get this VAR right, because VAR in its principles is a good thing. You know, you're not. You know, there's things that you would have been aggrieved going against you before that come in. To bring it in is good, but I'm glad they've got rid of the toenail decisions. You know, where someone's like got the toenail offside, that's it, it's ruled
yeah,
offside.
right.
For me, I'm glad they've got rid of that, because that's not a clear and obvious advantage, disadvantage, whichever way you look at it. When they're like a foot or something like that offside, then yeah, fine, that's all good. But they will get it sorted. But I just thought this week they've let themselves down this week in terms of some of the decisions that they've done. But they got it right in other stages as well. It's human error. Human error.
Yes, that's the issue with VAR, right? It's like with the and again, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like each referee group, right? They rotate. Like one's on the pitch, one's doing the flags, one's doing the numbers, one's doing the VAR, and they pretty
Yeah,
much rotate from game to game, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So each one has a different opinion on how they see things. So,
It is. It is, and it is subjective. I know a lot of the stuff is subjective. It's like that penalty for Villa, for Man United yesterday. It's subjective because, for me, I'd say it isn't a penalty, but someone else would say, yeah, but his arms raised slightly. My argument that would be, well, he's stepping to the side, and that's just a natural movement to your arm. You can't keep your arm tattooed to your hip, you know. But I'd say it was probably a bit harsh to give a penalty, a bit of a soft penalty. Um, so yeah, it is subjective. but I don't think the offside for the goal is subjective because he's clearly in an offside position and he's interfering with play because the keeper
Yeah.
can't get around him. He can't do nothing. So he's
Yeah.
interfering with the play. So I think
And I think anything, even if he's in his, say he's totally to the side of him and he's in his like peripheral vision, even
yeah,
that's interfering with the play
yeah,
of the keeper, and his.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, yeah, I'd definitely go with that. Interfering with the play is in a position where the goalkeeper or someone else has to consider where he is in terms of how he's going to play this play out.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, I think you're dead right. Even if it's just to the side and he's in the vision, then he's interfering with play. If
Yeah.
he's on the other side of the pitch and not in anyone's vision, then fine, he's not interfering with play. Do you know what I mean? Or he's over there somewhere where he's just not going to be a danger or it needs to be thought of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a bit of a funny decision from VAR. I think VAR let themselves down. I think they really did. To move on to the next game, Charlie, because I noticed by the absence of the comments in the comment section there that Nick hasn't joined us. He probably won't be joining us
Boy, Nick.
today. I do feel for him. I do feel for him. Tottenham v Arsenal. Arsenal totally dominant in the first half. Absolutely, totally dominant. And in half time, 3-0.
I wish I had seen that first half because I saw the second half and I didn't think Tottenham was terrible, and I was particularly looking very hard at Kane's movement and this week, well, in the second half, let me talk to the second half at least. It looked like they had him in their correct positions. Kane was in the middle, Son was out to the left, where that's where they're strong, right? And I did see Kane making the runs, playing the defense, coming back, and trying to press when he could. I think he's trying to be a leader. I think that he is having terrible, terrible, terrible luck with the way the ball bounces or just missing the net by 6 inches or whatever. He's having that is exacerbating the problem, his problem right now, because
Definitely.
he didn't start this season in the right frame of mind. He started the season with him being in United in Manchester, I think up here, or a city. Anywhere but Tottenham, right? So I think he's grappling with the prospect of he's at Tottenham for the rest of this year, or at least until January, right? And if he keeps this up, no one's going to want him in January because he's not doing anything, But what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on Kane are exactly mirrors yours. I only seen the second half, but I listened to the first half as I was traveling up the motorway, and even the commentators were saying his movement isn't there, his head's not in the game. None of the play, in fact, a lot of the Tottenham players were not pulling the weight in the first half. They were just, they were just going through the motions by the sounds of it. And with Kane, I think Kane, it's psychological with him because he was gone. He was at City, and I think Daniel Levy has probably done the wrong thing for Tottenham Hotspur by keeping him, by insisting that he stayed.
Yeah,
because he's now in a place where his head was he was turned. Once a player's head's been turned, that's it. You got to think of the best thing for your club, and the best thing for Tottenham there was to sell Kane as much as he is important to them. And because they've got real lack of depth, Tottenham, in terms of quality, they could have used that money to add to the strength. They've got Son who scored the goal today. For me, he's more than good enough. Every time Kane's been out for injury, Son's always stepped up to the plate anyway.
yeah.
So I think he can do that anyway. You could have got a couple of other players, and particularly in midfield. I think Tottenham in midfield, they really need strength, and they need players who are going to go out there and fight for that shirt, fight for that badge. Put some passion into the game and try and win them battles, because I thought listening to the commentary and watching the second half as well, I thought Arsenal found it easy in the middle of the park, and I think they could have just improved on that. If they sold Kane, they could have got the money to improve in that area. But also with Kane, what he's doing is sort of hurting himself because he's he's not playing to his strengths. He's not playing well. He doesn't look interested. He looks like a lazy player. So you're looking at that, like you say, Charlie, and someone's looking at that and think, well, why would I pay £100 million for a player who doesn't want to try? But
Yeah.
I just think his head's not there. He's already somewhere else. He's not at Tottenham anymore. And he must be in that first half, he must be looking round. And this will be making it hard for him. He must have been looking around at Tottenham team and going, I'm actually still here playing with these players. I could be at City now fighting
Yeah.
for playing with some world-class players. And that won't help him. And the fact that he just can't get the rub of the green in front of goal, he missed an absolute sitter today in the second half. It was an absolute sitter. That should have been in the back of the net. But I don't know what's going on with him. It must be psychological. It must be that he's going elsewhere. He'll be at City, And
Yeah, I think in his brain, I thought it was I think in his head, he's at one point preseason, he's like, okay, the move's happening, and then when it didn't happen, that's a huge, huge letdown, especially for him when he is preparing, and he's probably, you got to think on in Manchester, in Man City, and like even Liverpool. There's a ton of England players on those two teams, that he even gets along with, that he's really comfortable playing with.
Yeah.
And again, and he had, you had international duty and stuff, and that talk among those players probably was even cementing even more his move that he was happening, and he was probably getting wicked psyched, when you get really psyched for something and then it falls to the floor, and then it's like all of a sudden now he's playing in shock,
Yeah.
But you did bring something to my thoughts when I was watching the Tottenham game. I was looking for those hungry players, and one of the subs that they made, I was really impressed with, and it was number 11, and it looks like his name is Brian Gill. I saw him; he was running. He was running hard. He was running like he wanted to be there, and he was actually one of those players that I was like, wow, okay, they should keep this guy on the field. You can see he's hungry. You can see he can run, and he was all over the place. So I'm thinking they should keep that guy in. I guess he subbed in for Dembele, so they're not going to keep that guy in over on Dembele. But you never know. But I noticed number 11. I was like, who's that guy? They got to play the players who want to play. That's how you start, at least, because then. Because fans pick up on players that want to play and they get behind them. They don't have to be superstars. Just like James Milner, if he's on the field giving everything, they see that and they support that. Now,
definitely.
I don't know how Tottenham fans are, but you would think that they would get behind a player that's really given everything that they have, and you can see that they want to be out there, and that's a start for bringing the fans back into the game, at least.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I'd agree with that. I think Tottenham fans are just like any other fans, Charlie. Players who they don't have to be great. They just need to put, the effort in. I mean, I always remember one player that was famous at Liverpool for just being he was awful, but because he played and he put the effort in, everyone loved him. Eric Meyer, mad Eric Meyer. Everyone loved him because he put the effort in. But Gil come on and worked hard, and Bruno should be looking at the Gil and go, well, if he's going to come in and give me that effort, right, I need to find him a place in the team. Put him in there, because it only when you have a player that's giving all the effort in, it only G's all the other players up to have the effort in as well. Another fella who come on the second half who done well as well was Skip. He come in and he done well. He was actually one of the better players in the second half, I thought. He ran round, he put a lot of effort in. Tottenham were much better in the second half, but they were still not good enough. It's weird because I've got Lloris as my goalkeeper in my fantasy league, and he did great the first 3 games. He kept 3 clean sheets, but he shipped 3 goals in the last 3 games, which is weird. So Tottenham's first 3 games, this is weird, and we'll go through Arsenal's first 6 games as well, just to show you the contrast in it, because we'll come on to Arsenal now and how much I think they've improved. So
Okay.
Tottenham in the first game, they beat Man City 1-0 at home, right? Then they went away to Wolves and won 1-0. And then they beat Watford 1-0 at home. And I'm thinking, right, this is Tottenham. They're gonna be, and they were sat right at the top of the league. Right, here they go. Then they went to Crystal Palace and they got beat 3-0. And it was like, well, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But then all right, so then they've got Chelsea at home. They got beat 3-0. And I'm thinking, it's Chelsea. They're ahead of you. They are a much better team than I can get it. 3-0. Pick your heads up and go at it again. But then the first half against Arsenal today, they were absolutely woeful. In the second half, they were much better. They picked it up, but they shipped 3 goals again in Arsenal. But
the main difference with those first 3 and the last 3 is their setup with Kane. Kane wasn't in the first 2 games, right? And they were kicking butt. They were destroying things. They were excited to be. They had a really good formula or really good chemistry with the team out there without Kane.
Yeah.
And now you got to think as a player, you're thinking we're doing really good, and now Kane decides to stay or whatever, and he's staying, and now I'm being overlooked, or now I'm being benched from this guy who doesn't even want to be here. That's doing something to me mentally. It's surrounding players, It's maybe the guy needs to maybe they really think getting rid of Kane and on the break, the Christmas break, just he has to go at any price type of thing. Bring back the team you had in the first 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, why not? Why don't they do that? Why don't they do that? Is it politics inside Tottenham Hotspur? Daniel Levy, putting his weight down onto Bruno, saying, "Look, I fought to keep him in, so you keep him in the team." So, but at the end of the day, you can see his body language even today. That's not Harry Kane. That's not the Harry Kane that that's going to go and get you the goals. His body language is all wrong. And on the contrast of that, Arsenal, I think they've turned the corner, Charlie. I think they've turned the corner here. I think we were saying, I know I was saying it a couple of weeks ago. Arteta, he's not playing the players, the system, the strength of the players, but he's stuck with it. He's starting to get a couple of results. So their first 3 games, they lost 2-0 at Brentford.
Who we know is actually a really good team now.
They're a really good team, yeah. They lost 2-0 at home against Chelsea, which they go
another good team.
Yeah. But then they lost 5-0 against Man City, who were a good team. But then he went to Norwich and got 1-0. Then he got to Burnley and got 1-0 win. And then today they've beat Tottenham 3-1. And I thought they were good for the 3-0 lead at half time. It could have been 4 or 5, to be fair. So they've really turned the corner. But like you say, them first 3 games that they lost, they were tough games anyway. As we found out.
I mean, anyone could have lost against those teams, Those are, Brent, when you're looking at it at the first week, you're like, wait a second, they just lost to this team that just came up. But now everyone's saying, well, Brentford ain't, they're not chumps. They're, they've got some game, and anyone who underestimates them is going to get crushed.
Definitely. Like I say, that last season it was Leeds. This season it's Brentford for me. And Brighton. We'll come on to Brighton because they're going to be playing tomorrow. They could be going to top of the league tomorrow, like I said earlier. But Arsenal, like I say with Arsenal, I think they've turned the corner. And I'm just gonna get their next lots of fixtures up. Arsenal's actually. I want to have a look at what Arsenal's next lot of fixtures are. So fixtures. So I go on here. Their next fixtures are okay.
Brighton.
Brighton. Wait, okay. And then they've got Crystal Palace at home after the international break. And then Villa at home. That's their next 3 games. And I'm just wondering what Tottenham's next 3 games been. But I look at that there, I think, well, Before the last couple of weeks, as I said, Arsenal have struggled against Brighton, but I can see Arsenal going there and getting something and winning. They've got Crystal Palace at home. I would expect them to beat them there, and they've got Villa at home. But like Villa just showed against United, they're not pushovers this season either themselves. Which you thought you lose Jack Grealish, the best player. When you lost Jack Grealish for injury last season, they looked woeful. So I really feared for Villa, but they look like they're not feeling as loss as I would have thought they would have done. But with Tottenham, I'm just going to see if I can get Tottenham's.
Yeah, Tottenham has Aston Villa, Newcastle, and then West Ham after the break. So that's it's not as tough. I think they could win 2 out of those 3.
Yeah, I think you could see Tottenham in the next 3 weeks say, right, we're back in the groove. Because if you look at their games, and they've had City, they've had Chelsea, and they've had Arsenal now, so that's 3 of their big matches out the way, and okay, 2 of them are at home, but they've been to the Emirates now where they don't really get any luck anyway, so they've lost that one. I still think Tottenham will come good, and they'll start putting a run of results together. I'm sure our friend Nick will probably tell us different and say, no, it's not happening. Well, yeah. I think
Adam in 5th. I think they'll still pull off. I think they'll still pull off a top 6, just because I think the other teams that have been above them the last couple of seasons are now like Leicester. I don't think they're gonna make top 7. Well, I put them as 7th, so that's what I think about Leicester this year, and they've been showing me nothing spectacular. I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford finished above Leicester, actually, so but yeah, it's like and like you said, Man United's having issues.
yeah.
I totally agree with the message you sent me and John before, where it's a 3-man game with Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea.
I think so. I think it's a 3-horse race. United will, be threatening somewhere around the line. They've got good players. They've got a good team there. It's the manager for me. He's just not good enough. He's a mediocre manager for me. He's not going to do much with them. If they had a top manager in there, I'd be saying, yeah, that's it. In terms of Leicester, yeah, they drew again yesterday, didn't they? 2-2 against Burnley. It puts them.
Yeah, they were losing. They were losing 2-1, but then they pulled off that. They tied it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're currently sat at 13th on 7 points. Okay. Crystal Palace are only 2 points behind them at the game in hand. So, but they play Brighton. Is it them that play Brighton tomorrow? I think it is, isn't it? So I don't see Palace getting much there. But Leicester, they've not won in the last 3 games now. They've only won 2. They've lost 3, drawn 1. So they're not having a great start to the season. They certainly weren't like they were last year, where they played really well. But yeah, for me, in terms of going for the title, I can't look past them 3 teams that are currently sat in the top 3 positions at the minute. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see past them. I think with the 3 teams, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, they know how to grind a result out. Even when they're not playing well, they can grind a result out.
Yeah.
And that's where Man United lacked yesterday. They couldn't grind the result out. They huffed and they puffed, and in the end, he didn't have enough wind there.
So I'm thinking who can finish the 4th? Again, you're talking.
I think Man United or Tottenham for that spot.
United, Tottenham. What about West Ham though?
West Ham are doing well. I mean, Everton are threatening there with the 2-0 win yesterday. But for me, in terms of top 4, I've predicted Tottenham. I've got Tottenham in my top 4.
Yes,
be just as Man United. In fact, the top 4 that you see on the league there now, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, United, that's more than likely going to be the top 4 come the end of the season in one in one form or the other.
Hmm.
That's where I
And
think.
it depends on if, Tottenham, it depends on whether or not they can get the Harry Kane situation under control. And Man United is how they're going to handle Ronaldo and the rest of the team when he starts demanding more penalty kicks and making more of the plays. And even I see Ronaldo as a type of person to start pressuring the ownership or management against Solskjaer if he thinks he's not up to snuff, saying you got to get this guy out of here. He's not good enough, type of thing. Because you think Ronaldo would know uh, which managers are up to the task or not, because he's been on so many different teams with so many of them. So
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's there. He's there to see the end of his. He's doing I think that's more of a right. Why he left, didn't go to City and went to United. I think it'll be nice to end my career at United. I don't think he's gone there in any kind of aspiration to win anything. I don't think. Although he is good enough to get them to win stuff, and I think if you keep him and Bruno Fernandes fit for the whole of the season, I wouldn't bet against them. Not winning anything. I think they'd win something, especially with those two in there.
yeah, they're quality players, definitely.
Yeah, those are those. But in terms of relegation I think Norwich is definitely gone. For me, they're already gone. They've played 6, lost 6. They've shipped 16 goals and scored 2. They got beat by Everton, which is, we're missing John to be able to gloat about this one this week. So, Everton beat them 2-0. I'm just going to have a look because I don't know too much about that game because this is where we need John to come and tell us exactly what happened.
Norwich's new motto is making the Premier League teams feel better about themselves since 1986.
Say that again, sorry, Charlie.
They're always making the other Premier League teams feel better about themselves because they're always, they'll get relegated, then they'll come back, make the guys feel better, then get relegated, then they'll come back.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Delia Smith to do a routine at half time after she's had a few glasses of champagne, shouting "Where are you?" to the fans. Yeah, that was funny from a few years ago. But yeah, I just don't see them surviving.
Well, currently Leeds is in the relegation zone. I don't think they're going to end up there. I'd see either Newcastle or Southampton being down there before Leeds. So yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I had Burnley and Norwich out. Right now, they're out. My only big mistake was Brighton, who are way up top there.
Yeah, I've got them.
They win tomorrow. They're up there, top of the league. They're with 15 points tomorrow if they win.
Crazy, isn't it? But do you know what? That's testament to Graham Potter. And the job he's doing down there. He's doing a really good job. And to be honest with you, in a league where all the top managers are from outside of England, it's great to see an Englishman do well as a manager.
Yeah,
it's great to see. I mean, don't get me wrong.
If Brighton wins tomorrow, is Lallana going to be on the phone to Henderson and say, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Look who's top of the league." Get some bragging rights.
He'd have to, wouldn't he? He'd have to. Look, hey, we're above you now. Look.
they were like buddies at Liverpool. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think they were roommates. I think when they were on their away games.
I think they were. I'm not too sure. But what I was going to say with Everton, one thing I am happy about Everton is Doucouré. I've got him in my fantasy league team, and he scored yesterday, so I got a nice few points off for him yesterday, and that was good. I feel positive I can take out of that game. And he said, "Paul John, he's silent and is missing him." So yeah, same of relegation. I think Norwich is definitely there. Leeds, I don't see Leeds finishing there, Charlie. I'd never say a team's too good to go down because you can't say that. It's been proven time and time again. Teams who think they were too good to go down end up going down. But Leeds are just going through that really difficult start to the second season in the top flight. But if they can just get through it and just keep all they got to do, Charlie, for me, Leeds, is just keep to who they are, keep true to themselves. Don't try and go and be something different because I think that's when they're going to get problems. If they can just keep true to themselves and play how they did throughout the whole of last season, I think the results will start coming themselves. The results will take care of themselves. Do you know what I mean? They'll get the
Yeah.
results they need. Yeah. But I'm just gonna get the table again, and for me,
Everton are playing United next week. Do they have some type? Do they have like? Are they? Is Everton the same like rivalry as Liverpool and United, or
no,
is?
no. It's a Liverpool Man United thing and a Liverpool Everton thing.
Yeah,
The Evertonians will wind the Liverpool fans up by shouting United, United when we're playing United. You know what I mean? Because that's a local rivalry. But no. Well, if Everton are playing United, right, so that's going to be an interesting game that next week then, Charlie, because Everton are playing United. Now, it's going to be where's it going to be? Is it going to be at Old Trafford? Where is it?
it looks
Fixture.
like it's at United. Yeah, Old Trafford.
It's at Old Trafford. Yeah, it is, yeah. It's on Saturday, so the early kick-off on the Saturday.
Yeah, it's a 7:30 game here.
So for me, I think Everton can go there and get a result. And that'll be interesting one that then, because
Because of the manager, right?
Yeah.
He's going to want that one because
John will. Yeah, John will want to win that one. But then it goes, if Everton go to United next week and they win, are we then talking, well, Everton for the top four? Is Everton putting the name in for the top four this year? Do you know what I mean? I mean, they've got a great manager, Rafa Benitez,
yeah,
And if
yeah,
there's anyone who can get players to play in a particular way and get them to do good, you don't have to look any further than, Rafa Benitez, because he arguably won the European Cup in 2005 with arguably one of the worst Liverpool teams I've ever seen in my life. This is the same team that had like Igor Biscan in there, Jimmy Traore,
yeah.
two players that worked the socks off and were liked by the fans, but the quality just wasn't there from them. And if he can do that with those two players, I think he can get Everton in the top four. Why can't he? I think he can.
Yeah, especially this year.
Yeah. If United are going to be, a little bit hot and cold through the season, and Tottenham are obviously having, because I had top four between Tottenham and Man United, and if Tottenham are doing what they're doing now, then why not? Why can't Everton give a push for that top four?
It's true.
Happen.
Something to think about, that's for sure. We'll see how they handle Brentford. Did they already play Brentford?
I don't think so.
Checking it up right now.
Yeah, check it out now, yeah. So Leeds next week have got Watford at home. So I see Leeds getting a win there. They should be picking that win up. That should be 3 points for them there. Yeah. And the big game next week, Charlie, is Liverpool City next week at Anfield.
At Anfield, so
at Anfield, yeah.
I think excluding that game where Mane got kicked out for kicking Ederson in the face, that game where we played with 10 men against them. We usually play really, really well against City, I think. So
yeah. It's the style of football that Pep plays and the style of football that Klopp plays. It's always a good, exciting game, I think.
Yeah.
The City games, and I do think we do tend to have on the one-on-ones. We do tend to have the upper hand on them. The only thing with City is they are just a goal-scoring machine. They like to score goals for fun. Where Liverpool, I think we sometimes let ourselves down. We create chances. We get things on, but we'll blast them over the bar. We won't get many on target, and out the ones that we get on target, we'll only get a few of them, but knock at the net. And that's the difference between Liverpool and City. So I'm looking forward to that next week. I think we'll beat them. But that's just me being the ever optimistic, Reg, but we'll
That
see.
that has been my beef with the front three of Liverpool for the last 5 years. Is all the missed chances from Mane and Salah and Firmino, and I think even Jota missed one recently that I was like, but at least from Mane and Salah though, they have so many missed chances sometimes per game. It could be like 6, 7
Yeah.
goals, and they come away with 2 or 1. And it's just like, come on, guys, you got to bury those chances. But they get a lot of chances, and they get a lot of service in from the side. So that helps. But you got to think with if they were better finishes, we would have 200 goals in the season instead of 100. It's a
This
lot
is
of
it. Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, this is it. But, we've got that game coming up next week, which is going to be massive. And hopefully we get the result that we want. Everton are against United, so it's like a Merseyside v Manchester match up next week.
Yeah.
So I want Everton to beat them. I'd like Everton to win that one against Man United and us to beat City. That would be great weekend there. You'd end up with seeing Everton in the top 4 with Liverpool, City, United drop out. Well, that depends on Brighton, doesn't it? Because if Brighton win tomorrow and they beat Arsenal as well next week, then they're going to stay top of the league, They will, won't they? You know what I mean? So United could be out the top of 4 by close of play tomorrow.
Bemar, yeah.
After the Brighton game's done, which will be great to see. It'll be good. It would be good there. Well, I'm just trying to have a look because we've got just pressed for time now. We're in the last 10 minutes of this, and I'm just conscious we haven't covered all the games. So let's see which ones we haven't talked about. We talked about Leicester. Come on, computer.
Watford and Newcastle, and then there's
Watford and Newcastle. So
Wolves and stuff.
Yeah, so Wolves. You watched that, Charlie, and I haven't seen the goal yet, but according to the commentary on Sky, Jimenez's goal was something to be admired, apparently.
I did not see that goal.
No.
Some pieces, bits and pieces again, as life happens, on the weekends. But again, I don't remember being wowed by it. I do remember them focusing on, his scar all the time. They're talking way too much about his skull fracture and whatnot. But
Yeah. Well, he has that protective covering on, doesn't he, that he puts on Jimenez. I know last week he ended up taking it off. But it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see him come back and start scoring goals. And I think that's what went wrong with Wolves last season. And I think Bruno is sometimes harshly criticised for last season's performance from Wolves. But where you got to stand is he lost Jimenez through injury for a large part of the season. And obviously Jota went to Liverpool, who was also key and instrumental for their going forward. Although if he keeps missing sitters like he did yesterday, he'll have a word with himself because he's missed a couple of sitters again yesterday. But yeah, I just thought Bruno got a little bit harsh, dealt with the Wolves basically sacked him because of the season and just totally ignored the fact that he got them into the Premier League and kept them up he had 2 good seasons in the Premier League. But Wolves, I think, will be okay. I think they'll come good again. I honestly think I'm going to have to revisit the relegation bit because Newcastle got a good result, drawing 1-1 against Watford yesterday, away from home. So that's a good result for Newcastle. But
I didn't see that. I wasn't able to get that game either.
No. So
I'm just trying to see if I could find that. Looking at that, trying to find the goal while you're talking, but
yeah. But like you say, Leeds got beat by West Ham yesterday. But again, I don't see that as a bad thing for Leeds because West Ham are having a good season, you know. So, but they will have to win that game next week. They're gonna have to win that game next week. Otherwise, they're gonna be in trouble. Leeds, they're gonna have to start picking them results up.
I know I have Bamford in my team, and he is not performing up to snuff. Okay, yeah, yeah, his goal. I didn't think it was that impressive.
No.
He went through a couple guys, but it's not like one of those Salah goals where you're like, sharp shooting from 30 yards out. But yeah, he pretty much went through a couple guys, put it in the corner. Okay, yeah, I guess maybe that's a good goal for Wolves.
It's a good result for Wolves, and Southampton are in trouble. They're starting to, I'm just having a look now. I don't think they've had a good start to the season.
What are they, 17th?
16th.
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 Okay.
So again, the one of them teams in the bottom 5 who just haven't been able to pick a win up. They've just drew more than the others and lost less than the others below them. So you got Newcastle there. They've got 2 draws now on the bounce. So are they going to get a little? Are they going to get a win? At some point. But the fact that the bottom 5 just can't pick. They can't buy a win. And Leeds are in there, Burnley's in there, Newcastle, Southampton, and Norwich are in there with that run of them. And Crystal Palace. And this just go back to talk about Tottenham. This just goes back to how much of a freak result that was against Tottenham 3-0. That's their only win in the season. Crystal Palace. It's the only one they've won.
Really?
Yeah, it's the only game they've won.
Huh.
But I think that wraps up the Premier League for this week because I think we've discussed almost everything. From Bruno Fernandes's rocket launch, NASA style penalty take. The offsides and stuff like that. I think we've covered everything. So
Yeah.
we'll just finish the last couple of minutes off with the Fantasy Premier League that we're involved with, Charlie.
How's it looking?
I'm just getting it up now. So we are.
No, you're coming back strong, right? I think
I'm coming back strong. Yeah. So I've had a good week this week again because Antonio scored the winner for West Ham yesterday as well, and I had him in my team. So what we've got in this week's matchup, right? We had the team average up against Harrison. Harrison lost. Harrison lost that one. And then we had John. He was up against me. And I beat him 46-41. I beat him 36-41. Then you were up against Sarah and you beat Sarah 39-27. So the current standings is you've won 2 and drawn 1, so you're on 7 points. I've won 2, lost 1, so I'm on 6 points. Sarah's won 1, lost 2. She's on 3 points. John has won 1, lost 2. He's on 3 points. And Harrison, he's sat at the bottom of the table, bless him, with 3 losses. He's the Norwich of our Fantasy Premier League.
Yeah. You're relegated.
You did, Sarah. You had a shocking week this week. Harrison said something before. He said he's doing shocking earlier on. That's what he's having a bad week as well. But old John, hey, his Everton might have won, Charlie, but I put him to the sword in the Fantasy Premier League and beat him. I wonder if it tells you what the fixtures are on the coming weeks. Like game week. So next week, right? Me against you, Charlie, at the top of the table.
Right.
It's me against you. Sarah's up against Harrison, and John's against that guy average. Yeah. And we'll see how that goes. I think overall, hold on. Sarah's saying overall points though, she's winning. I don't know about that. Let's just double check that. I'm not having that. Let's have a
Yeah,
look.
I think both.
Ah,
I think a couple of you guys are above me on overall the point
yeah.
system. See,
Oh,
last year when I
Sarah.
was in the league with Dan and them, they didn't do this person against person thing. They just said whoever had the point, that was where your standings were. So I've never. This is the first time I've ever seen the actual people against each other.
Yeah, so you
It's
play
definitely-
each other, so it's like a league. So we all play each other throughout the season, and we get points for it. But the overall standing points, Sarah's right.
Yeah,
She is top, but she's joint top with me. So
Yeah.
fix that next week, and I'll go top outright, I think. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So it's top of the table clash with Liverpool City on Sunday. It's a top of the table clash in the Fantasy Premier League as well. So do us a favour, everyone. We're going to sign off now. And join us next week to see who wins between me and Charlie, who goes top of that the Fantasy League. Until then, see you later.
Bye.